Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Andrew Beaulieu. And I'm so happy that he said yes to our interview. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Wow, I'm fine too. And I'm so happy. As I said, I want to introduce you to the audience first. Of
Mm,
course, let's see. You are a triple entrepreneur, can one say this? And you transition from property management to running a national contracting company, now specializing in organizational development. You focus on enhancing leadership and team cohesion. A dedicated family man, you are committed to reshaping leadership for a better future. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Andrew Beaulieu.
Thank you for that introduction.
Beaulieu means beautiful places,
Th-
right?
that's right. That's the
I
literal
forgot.
translation. Absolutely.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this. This is beautiful. I also love traveling. Yes. And my first question to you is, what inspired your shift from managing properties to focusing on organizational development and leadership?
Absolutely. Well, I worked in corporate world for about 16 years, just close of 2 decades, and I was a manager by the age of 22, managing people twice my age. And I learned very quickly that the way people show up to work indicates how they're going to perform, how they're going to enjoy, how engaged they're going to be, how invested they're going to be emotionally and mentally. And so I made it, a calling of mine when I was working in the corporate field to be a servant leader, to really make myself a service to the people that I worked with, and to give them the tools and resources and support and time and energy that they needed to be their best selves within the corporate environment. And I saw a lot of success doing that. The reason why I made a shift from leaving corporate to go into coaching and consulting was there's a lot of noise in the corporate world. There's a lot of things that we can't predict, a lot of changes, a lot of moving parts. And so I said, "Yeah, I really just want to focus on human development. I want to work with people. I don't want to worry about the other noises, the other challenges that we're going to face. I really want to focus on people. That's my passion. That's my purpose." And so that led to a shift. That's one of the many reasons why, it's an onion. There's many layers to why people make changes in their lives, but that was a significant one for me. Is I really wanted to focus on people.
Wow, I love what you shared. Thank you so much about focus on people and then about the onion. We don't like onions, or not everyone likes onions, okay? And when you said about in the beginning how people show up for work, I was thinking about, are you talking about the physical appearance or the attitude?
Yeah, the attitude, how we show up emotionally to work. Work is one of 9 areas of our life. And so you have to consider that the other 8 areas are going to influence that one specific one. Yes, it's where we spend half of our waking hours. Yes, it's where we spend a third of our lifetime focusing on our professional careers. But we have other areas of life that influence how we show up to work. And we don't know as leaders what's going on in someone's personal life. You have to take the time, you have to show empathy and compassion and take the time to get to know your people, not just professionally, but personally, who they are as a human. And that's why I like saying that human centric approach. I used to be an employee centric approach. And I said, no, employee is just an aspect of who they are, but they're a human being. They come with so much more that influence their day to day. And I've seen it too many times and I've done it myself. People make assumptions. We have predictive brains. We assume we know the answers. We assume we know what the puzzle looks like based on one small sample. Um, so really it's taking that time to slow things down, get to know your people, get to know what they're bringing with them, and helping them navigate that. They need help too, as much as we do. It's not specific to just our direct reports. Us as leaders, we also need that ecosystem of support and compassion.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And you never know. So assumptions are our own perspectives we lay over the what we see, right,
Yes.
in the outer world. And when you talked about the employees, you don't know what they are going through at the moment. Maybe they lost a loved one, and how do you deal with that? Do you give them a free day, a day off or something?
I mean, the answer is depends. It
Mm.
depends on the situation, depends on the person, depends what they need. We don't know what they need unless we ask. I mean, obviously, there's limitations to everything, everything within moderation. Sometimes take a time off is not what they want. It's not they need what they not what they need. Excuse me. In that time, I've seen people say, "I need to focus on work as a distraction from my life," and so what I need is to be here and but given some space, given some don't be micromanaging me, don't be smothering me, don't be on top of me. Give me some space, but I want to be here. I'd rather be here than be there. And so the answer really depends on the human being, depends on the individual, what they're going through. Leadership is not a one size fits all approach. You have to adapt to every single person, every single situation.
Wow, I love what you said about asking what they need. It was just a small sentence you said, but it's a huge impact for the person you ask because some of the people are never asked, and in return, they don't dare to ask for help in that situation, you know? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. At the foundation of everything, Caroline, there's communication, right? Communication is the foundation where we build trust, and based on that, we're able to build a relationship that allows healthy conflict, that allows engagement, that allows productivity, that allows forward movement. But it really is at the base. We need to talk. We need to listen. Communication is a two-way street, and it's not done enough
Yes, that's true. I agree. We can improve that every day, of course. And this is
every
why
day.
you are here and I am here. And we are doing this podcast today. And of course, I have another question for you. Can you share an example of how your approach has transformed a team or leader's effectiveness?
Oh my goodness. I Yes, an example that comes to mind is when I was working in the corporate world. I was transitioning out. I gave a 2-year notice, 2-year transition as I was because it was a family based business. I worked with two of my brothers as well as a non family relative partner. So those four owners of the business. And as I was transitioning out of the business, my role obviously was changing because we were, getting ready for my departure. And in the last year, my role was really to meet with our staff on a day-to-day basis. And we had 35 people in the office here in Montreal. I'm out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, by the way. And so my role was to meet with our staff, and I would meet with every single one of them throughout the week, and I would spend an hour with them. And the hour was it was theirs. It was whatever they wanted to talk about. It could have been personal. It could have been professional. It may have been to go through some challenges that they're having, or maybe to get some mentoring, or maybe some coaching, because obviously I was going through my coaching training at the time. So I was using a coach approach in a lot of our conversations. And I personally believe this transformed the office. It helped people get through so many challenges, both professionally and personally, because I was just present. I was taking the time. It was my pleasure to take the time. And when I created that space for them, they were very trusting. They were very vulnerable. They were open. They invited me into their lives for the majority of them. Let's not say everyone, but the majority of them invited me into things that were really intimately close to their hearts. And that allowed us to build a stronger connection. And at the end of the day, I honestly believe it built a stronger workplace. I believe it created an environment that people wanted to come and wanted to be together because we're fostering relationships. And so, I've experienced it firsthand what that taking that time looks like and creating that space where people can be themselves with no consequence, no judgment, no repercussion really, and no alternative motive. I didn't have another agenda. It was really just to be there for them and be whatever they needed me to be in that moment.
Yes, and I assume that the information they shared with you were not talked out or
Oh
given,
no.
I
Oh
don't know
no.
the word now, but
It was
confidential.
100% confidential.
Yeah.
100% confidential. I did not share it with my business partners, with human resource. It was 100% a conversation like we're having here. Uh, this, mind you, is not going to be confidential, but it is a private conversation, is what I want to say. It
Mhm.
was between me and the individual, 100%.
I understand, and I love that because, as you said, it builds trust and also stronger relationships that people stay in the company, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes,
they love
absolutely,
that job.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It helps foster retention and helps foster just a positive workplace environment. And it's something that I work with now on this side through Bold Moves Coaching Consulting. It's what I bring to leaders when I'm working with them. Say, this is a tried and true thing you should be doing with your staff on a regular basis, is slowing things down and taking the time. Our corporate environments are so fast paced and so high stress. We need to be intentional about that time. We need to make that time, and we need to respect that time for the individuals.
Yes. So thank you so much for sharing. And when you said this, it was, of course, to prepare your exit,
Yes.
right? Can one
Yes.
say this? And also, what happened to the people that were not so open yet? Are they still there, or is there a difference? Did they leave?
I think everyone that I'm trying to think now, I say I keep pretty close tabs because I do have two brothers that work there and a lot of friends. I have friendships there, obviously. And I think pretty much everyone's still there. I'm trying to think if anyone has left. And I don't think so. I believe everyone is still there. And in fact, the team has actually grown since I've left. So there are new people there. And uh, it's not the exact same. They don't have that designated person who is taking the time like I did, but I think they've kind of spread that amongst the company as a culture for everyone to try and take that time for their peers. So I think they've kind of shared that model across the board, whereas before it was really my role and pleasure. I say responsibility, but really my pleasure to take that time.
Wow, I love that you pointed out this the culture, the word to create or establish a culture in the company, like values to share as well, to be communicative and open and
Yes.
have the trust. Wow, I love that. Okay, my next question. Let's see, I learned something. What future trends do you see in leadership, and how are you preparing to address them in your work?
Oh my goodness, that's such a great question, Caroline. There are two trends currently that we're seeing, and there's statistics on this. So it's these are factual numbers provided by Gallup. Gallup is an organization that does global studies in the workplace. And Gallup has shared two statistics last year that have helped me shape my business model for this year. And that is, one, we're seeing the highest number of disengaged employees across the board. In North America alone, I think it's somewhere around 75% of employees are disengaged. That means either actively looking for a new job or they're quiet quitting, meaning they're sitting in their chair and they're watching the time go by and collecting their paycheck. They're not engaged in their work. And that's a staggering number. And when asked what was the number one reason, well, it was their relationship with their supervisors. It was a relationship with their peers. Is what we were just talking about, is that culture that they don't feel like they feel connected or belong within that workplace. So for them to change jobs, they're not losing anything because someone else is going to pay them the same thing that they're earning. It's not about money. That's the first trend. The second trend is we're seeing a highest number of leadership burnouts. Leaders post pandemic in this world are burning out there, or at least have burnt out symptoms. They're not necessarily taking leave, but they have the symptoms of burnout. And these two things together create a disaster. These are not good because the leaders have nothing else to give. And the employees are saying, I need more from you in order for me to want to stay here. And so that's really been my focus in my practice, working with leadership and team cohesion, is helping leaders navigate this period of their life. This area, like I said, the 9 areas of their life, not just focusing on profession, but everything else that comes with it. And working with team cohesion on building that trust, building that communication, building that empathy, which we're missing so much of in this world. That lack of empathy is huge. So I'm trying to bring this into the workplace. And, with the people I have worked with, we've seen some really good results. We've seen some really good success this year. So building on these two trends, trying to curve that statistic to say, no, these numbers are not acceptable. We want to see improvements. And I think everybody does. It's a universal truth that everyone wants to feel engaged in what they're doing. They want to feel like they have a purpose and a meaning. And leaders obviously want to be there for their teams, but they just right now have, nothing left to give.
Yes, I understand. I can relate to that. I was in that situation in
Hmm.
my former life, so to say. Yes, before I started this podcasting career. And you pointed out about burnout. amongst leaders. And I remember this saying or this quote, someone said, people join companies, but they leave managers, right? Because,
Correct.
yeah, it's always about the people. And yeah, I know it's not funny at all. My question about your coaches and mentors, do you have coaches for yourself? And who was the best coach you ever had?
Oh, you're going to make me mention a name. I don't know if I'm prepared to do that. Yes, I have coaches. I've had a coach since 2017. That was my first introduction into coaching. Was my father was retiring from the organization, and we brought in a coach to work with me and my two brothers on change management. And in addition to that change management coaching, I built a really great connection with this coach. She is a friend to this day. She helped me when I was leaving the family business. She was my coach to help me transition out of the business and to find out what I wanted to do with my passion of working with people, which was what led me into coaching. Excuse me. She is my inspiration. So her name is Tarina. So hi, Tarina. So Tarina is definitely one. And to this day, I have an ecosystem of coaches that I speak with on a weekly basis. I mean, this week alone, I've been coached 3 times by 3 different individuals, and next week it'll be my turn to coach them in return. It's important to build a community of support. And in fact, I just posted yesterday on LinkedIn the importance of having a mentor and a coach. And all leaders, even the greatest ones, require someone to help them through things. Mentor, coaching, you name it. We all need that confidant. Um, and sometimes they're not necessarily trained coaches either. I get inspiration from some of my closest friends, people who really inspire me, and even my kids at times. My kids can inspire me through just their innocence and the way they view the world. So that could be their own. I gather inspiration from them as well. So, but yes, I have coaches. I would say Tarina has definitely been the pioneer for me. She introduced me into this world and has helped me get to where I am today.
Wow, absolutely. Kids are so inspiring. And it's about perspective, right? They have a different perspective. And when you mentioned your different coaches, then it seemed like you are talking about a mastermind as well, maybe mastermind?
No, no,
Not
I'm not a
so much.
mastermind. No,
Mhm. No mastermind.
no mastermind.
Thank you so much. And also that model about you are being coached and you are coaching others at the same time. It is possible, of course.
Absolutely. Again, it's people who I met through my coach training program, and we've built really strong connections. We're driven by the same calling, the same passion, and so this is our way of, one, staying in touch, but two, also just helping each other through things. And coaching is, to me, is, you find it's most impactful when you have a long term relationship with someone, because you really get to know their story. You're not just there for a picture in time. You're there long term, so you can say, hey, remember when you talked to me about that a year ago or 2 years ago? Can that be playing a part in this? And that's when coaching really gets, I'll say, fun. It gets impactful. It really digs deep because you have more context to work with.
Yes, absolutely. I learned something today, and I have one last question to you. Of course, it's about
Yes.
your goals and intentions. Do you set goals, and what is one of your next projects?
Sorry, so it cut out there. So goals and intentions.
Yes.
My goals and my intentions.
Mhm.
Well, I'm in my first year of solo practice. I mean, obviously, I've been building my business for 2 years as I was transitioning out. So my goals for this year was to really build a brand that is in service of other people, something that people need, and I really wanted to tie that into my experience within the corporate world, but also my passion for human centric leadership. And so there's a lot of intention around that. I'm developing programs that help bring in some of the things we've talked about in this conversation today, things about vulnerability based trust and communication and empathy and building resilience, and using these as a foundation to building positive workplace cultures and helping people enjoy what they do. Like I said, we spend half of our waking hours at work during the week. We're out at work for a third of our life. We need to enjoy what we're doing. I think people have lost that. People are now on autopilot and they're just working to pay the bills. And maybe that plays a part at certain seasons of our life, but for the most part, we need to switch that. We need to get back into having fun at what we do and enjoy what we do and enjoy getting up on Monday morning and going to work. Um, so I create a lot of intention around that, and my programs are engaging and they're fun. I'm working on a program right now to answer the second part of your question, which is building resilience and strength-based leadership. And I'm having a lot of fun developing this program. I'm actually facilitating it in a couple of weeks with an organization here out of Montreal. And it's just bringing a lot of fun and engagement into my workshops. I enjoy having fun. I like having fun. I always try to integrate that into everything we do. We can get things done, but still have a good time.
Yes, just like our interview today. Thank you so much. Now it's time for your last thoughts to the audience, and please include also where people can find you.
Absolutely. Well, again, Caroline, I've just really enjoyed this, so thank you for having me. People can find me either on my website at www.boldmovescoaching.ca. They can find me on LinkedIn under Andrew Beaulieu. They can follow me on Instagram at bold_moves_coaching, which is the same handle on Facebook as well, because it's all part of the Meta universe. I also have a YouTube channel at bold_moves.coaching, where I share weekly tips and tricks on how to elevate our professional and personal lives. And just my last message for the audience, and I love this quote. It's helped me get to where I am today. And that is a quote by Jim Rohn, which is, happiness is not by chance, it's by choice.
Thank you so much. There's nothing more to add to this. Thanks for our interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
And see you in the next episode.